All right, g'day guys, and welcome. My name is Michael, and I am the DeadAussieGamer here to share with you, of course, some of the people I know. Joining me today is, of course, Phil and Micah, two fantastic and amazing authors in the RPG scene from Perth, Western Australia, which is my hometown, which pretty much looks like this during summer. So I've asked them both to come and have a chat with you, the fantastic and wonderful audience, about their experience writing. But more specifically, today I'm going to be getting them to talk about collaboration. Now, writing, of course, is something we consider to be a very personal or a very singular process. When we write, we think of writing our campaign setting and working on our own intellectual property. But on occasion, it's sometimes good to reach out and find someone who just you work with well, you sync with, and everything's just awesome. And I can say that Phil and Micah have produced some of the most entertaining and engaging content that I've had the pleasure of reading. So thank you guys for joining us yet again.
Thanks, mates.
All right.
Put that bar up there, didn't you?
Yeah, that's it. Now you can't disappoint. Like, here it is. I'm just setting the standard for your whole thing. So without too much expectation, guys, how many projects have you guys worked with one another on?
It's be about half a dozen, I'd say.
Is this the right? I was gonna say, is this the writer equivalent of me asking when your anniversry is? Like, I feel like.
Kinda.
How could you forget, Phil?
It would be about 6, I think, at least.
Yeah, it's definitely so. I mean, it's all the Rex Dracona stuff plus a number of other products, Bigby's Handbook, Black Stuff's Wizardry, yeah, and a few other bits and pieces. So yeah, nice. We just we kind of move in the same circles, and certainly kind of keep calling each other up and saying, "Hey, I've got this great idea. Want to help?" And I think actually we might sort of segue into the discussion about that on that note, and that's, as Michael said, writing is often a very personal process. You've got your ideas and you want to get them down the way you envision them. But collaborating is in many ways a completely different kettle of fish, but in some ways it's a much more enriching experience. I think I really enjoy collaborations. I didn't think I would, because I'm a bit of a control freak and I like my ideas the way I have my ideas. I'm egotistical enough to think that they're brilliant ideas. But what I can say is that collaborations are really great for getting new energy and more ideas and things that you just might not have thought of, or even somebody expanding on an idea you think is fantastic, and they just put a cherry on top. And some of those moments in a collaboration are really transcendent. You learn a lot from the people around you, and I think in many ways the products can, if you have a good collaboration with the right people, be much better than what you can produce on your own.
Absolutely. And we saw that obviously with Big B's, where we had somebody pull out midway through the projects, and then we brought somebody else in who was just a new beginner, somebody that had never written for RPGs before, and she blew it out of the park. Some of the entries that Dee, her name's Dee, gave us were just phenomenal. Absolutely great. And that really brings in that other voice, and that's one of my favorite things about collaborations is all those different voices coming together to make one solid project.
Nice. I like how what should I put it? How pleasant you guys are being about this process. But that's not why people watch my channel. If they want to watch, pleasantry and, good feels, they'll go watch, the dreaded GM. Like, he's full of that, right? I'm here about the struggle, okay? Now,
this struggle.
Oh yeah. And that's what I want to get. Give us the meat and potatoes. Give us the juicy bits, and don't mind it. If you want, I'll mute Micah, and then so he can't hear you. If you need a, yeah, okay. So tell us. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Anything creative. Forget writing. Let's go with acting. Let's go with painting. Let's go with storytelling. Anything we do that we put our own personal heart and soul into is obviously going to be something that is going to be near and dear to us. And any kind of criticism is always, in some way, shape, or form, going to be taken personally. We can train ourselves to eventually take that less personally, but that's always going to be the case. And I'm sure that if you're watching in the audience, that you have somewhere along the lines felt that someone has judged or criticized something that you have done, and for no other reason other than the fact that they've done it, you've turned around and said, up yours, right? Collaborating with writing is no different, and I want to hear what happens when there's a disagreement. What happens when the two of you just don't see eye to eye
When
on
we
something?
don't see it eye to eye. Oh.
Okay, let me be a little bit more...
It doesn't happen that often.
Well, let's nail it down. Has there been a moment where the two of you have looked on something and just come to no terms on it?
Not with Phil.
Really?
So you wanted a story. I'll give you a story. All right. It's not to do with Phil. Phil and I actually get along really well. Part of I'll just digress slightly. Part of the reason that Phil and I don't have conflict is that we have very similar processes.
Yeah.
So the way we go about our work, the way we think, often we just riff ideas off each other and they just grow in the telling. And in the end, we're both very happy with how we've each added to that to get, the sum is greater than its parts.
So so just to quickly interject there. So what you're saying is that the greater chance for success here is if the person you're working with somehow synergizes with the creative process, and that you aren't necessarily creating individual ideas, then bringing them to the table, but you're actually working and chewing on those ideas together at the same time.
Spitballing,
yeah,
yep,
absolutely. And then also there's the having a solid process in place as well probably helps direct a lot of that down the same channel as well. Make sure people are on the same track as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, look, and in terms of, I mean, you can bring your own life and your own spice and your own perspectives to these things, but a well-run collaboration is run with everyone having the knowledge that this is not their own project. It's a project where, we get better results when we work together. The other thing is you end up with a lot less workload if you don't have to do it all yourself. But you have to have the right people. You have to be able to gel with them. And when you don't get that, collaborations can be pretty nightmarish.
And on that one, we were going about that story that you were about to tell about.
Well,
let's also leave names out just in case.
Yeah, no.
I don't know who's a fan or potential future sponsor, so I'm just gonna be like, let's call them company or persons A and B.
Okay. Oh, well, I mean, you have the odd conflict with personalities, and as part of a collaboration, particularly if you're running it, you need to have some level of skill in conflict resolution, because you just can't have two people that will not give way and expect to get a result that everyone can be accepting of. But mine wasn't actually with another collaborator. I ran into strife with an editor, interestingly enough. And it came about because this person is a very good editor, but they're a bit abrasive, and the way they talk to people can sometimes come across as being critical rather than editorial. And so what ended up happening was I submitted a piece of writing to this collaboration that I thought was really good. And it came back checkmarked to hell. There wasn't a single line that didn't have some form of criticism or change in it. This was a pretty big section of a project, and the comments were very clipped and kind of pointed. They made assumptions about the choices I'd made, which I took a little bit personally, which I shouldn't have. And so I wrote back. This is not a public accessible medium to the entire collaboration. I wrote counter comments, and they were not diplomatic, and it got a bit heated. But I did learn from it, and as Michael said at the top of this, sometimes criticism feels like attack. As a writer, particularly, you have to lose that mindset. Editors are not there to tell you you're awful. Editors are there, or at least they're not to tell you you're awful because they want to hurt your feelings. They're there to make the quality of the product better. I ended up, in the end, I still didn't agree with some of the comments, but I ended up publicly apologizing to that editor because I realized that for all his brusqueness, for all his dismissiveness, and for all his assumptions, most of what he suggested was an improvement. I actually took umbrage with the way it was said, not what was said. But I needed to not take it personally and learn and grow from that. Because you have to be able to take feedback, you have to be able to take criticism, you have to be able to be told and be receptive to the idea that what you've put down there or what you've handed in is not perfect or not to the brief or not what they wanted or is riddled with problems that you just can't see because you're too close to it. You love it, you want it to work, it's your baby, but sometimes you have to kill your babies to get better results. And
So
this,
also super
yeah,
quick for the non-Australians in the audience, when he says you have to kill your babies, that is a colloquialism for creators to delete things that they may find a strong personal attachment to. We're Australian. This is an Australian channel. If you've read the name, you know this. Okay, just I don't want to hear this whole comment spiel on why are they killing babies in Australia? Do they write all their journals in the blood of infants? No, we don't. Just Micah does, but that's nothing to reflect upon the rest of us. Just okay. Sorry, continue.
I'll
no,
also
that's fine.
add to what Michael was saying is that that being I guess a published writer, that doesn't stop with the editing process either. Even after something's been published, there's going to be reviews, there's going to be comments, you're going to have some negative feedback, and you've got to take it with a grain of salt, and you've got to look at it as a learning experience as well, and just so you can see other people's views on it as well, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah, look, and anything you put out into the public is going to be critiqued. Everyone has an opinion, founded or unfounded. They know what they like, and if they don't like what you've done for whatever reason, people are pretty quick to be outspoken about it. And Michael, you must have experienced this yourself as a performer in the public. You're not going to please all the people all the time, and some of that feedback.
I don't know, mate. I'm bloody beloved. All right. Yeah. Just
perfect.
Well, we think
mate.
you're all right.
No, absolutely. And you know what? One of the people that I wanted to get in for this authors discussion is none other than my good friend Scott Yules, who is actually the brilliant author behind Maximum Apocalypse, which is now very quickly becoming one of my most played games. And he's currently working on a new Kickstarter called Beta Red. Free promotion, okay? Just anyway, I was talking to him, and he will actually appear on my Patreon podcast. Also talking about this, and he was talking about how he posted some free content to kind of tease his materials onto Reddit, so that people could access it. And what he got back was there was definitely some good stuff, but there was also complete vitriol. And he found himself spending more time writing rebuttals and arguments and defending stuff in that chat than actually improving the game. But once he got into that headspace, as you were describing, where it was pretend like these people aren't trolls on the internet and that they're actually trying to help you make your game better. Some of the stuff was actually really good, and not all of it was, mind you. Some of it was just fully opinionated waffle, but some of it was gold, and it ended up helping him improve his game. If you want to watch that podcast, again, Patreon link below. If you want to subscribe for 1 month, watch the audio, and then unsubscribe. I mean, I don't care. I'd love you to stay around more, but you get what you want. Anyway, yeah. All right, so now I want to take us to a different place here on the publishing side of things, and that is the financial side of things. Now, I'm not going to be so crass as to ask you how much do you guys make. Damn. Okay. I am instead going to ask. Now, a lot of writers out there try to do things on their own for a number of reasons. Number one being setting up and starting up costs money because it costs time, and time is money. That's just how the nature of the thing works. Having multiple people does save on that time because the workload is obviously deviated between multiple people, which is fantastic. But when you're looking at creating a product, even a small product, having to, I guess, split things among you and being able to divvy up fair shares and workloads, I mean, I'm not presuming things, but what, in a hypothetical world, Micah could have written, say, 40 pages, whereas Phil could have written 34, right? How do you guys deal with that? How do you guys collaborate and deal with something like that, especially when you're looking at working in a professional space like this?
Yeah, so that's been, I guess, different per project. Firstly, with our extra Kona stuff, Micah and I divvy our portion of it up straight down the middle. It's a partnership, that one, and a part of it goes with the license over to Richard Knack as well, because it's his IP we're using. Then other projects, we usually come into it with, I guess, we have a discussion with all the creators that are joining the project. So, and we usually divvy it up to a percentage, and people agree on that. In projects that I've run, I've created I guess a small semi sort of contract that people agree to, and they say they agree to it, and we go from there. Micah?
Yeah, look, pretty similar. I think, again, if you get the right collaborative team and it's very respectful, everyone's very professional, you can do, handshake agreements and so forth. But, and in the early days, I think that was more of the norm. People just were excited to be on board and you'd have a verbal agreement and that would be that. But now, as the industry of third-party publishing is becoming a lot more mainstream, and there are a lot more people getting into it. It's easier than ever to get into it, and you're interacting with a lot more people in the community, and there are more conflicts between people. Certainly, it pays to have a written structure that everybody signs off on, if not a full actual contract. With the appropriate clauses for people choosing to leave a project or whatnot. But it saves a lot of headache at the end if people are, as you say, turning in work and saying, well, I've done 5 pages more than this person, or I did more than this, or whatnot. So manage expectations, set goals at the beginning, assign workloads, allow people to work in the way they want to work, as long as the result is the same and they meet the deadline. But ultimately, if everyone is on the same page from an early stage of the project, I've found that there's been no issues with people being carried or people not pulling their weight or people doing more than they've been asked to do, which does happen from time to time. You just set that in stone early and then make sure everybody sticks to it. And I think everyone respects those structures, because it's how professionals work.
Yep, agree. Are you still there, Michael?
Michael, we've lost audio on you, mate.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's
fine. It's fine. I just had something in my throat. Anyway, thank you so much, guys. This has been just absolutely enlightening, and I'm sure my audience absolutely love everything that you've helped them try to figure out on the road to becoming a writer. Of course, guys, as always, come and check out these guys' amazing work on Rex Draconic, the RPG, the Rex Draconis, should I say, not Draconic. It's just a slip of the tongue. All the links and stuff will be in the description below. I highly recommend the Pathfinder version. I have a copy of it myself. If nothing else, it is a fantastic read that is very inspiring in terms of setting and materials, which, of course, these two played no small part in helping bring to everyone. You can also check out some of their other works, which will be in the link below, such as Big B's Handbook of Stuff, that big name. Okay, I'm gonna ask you this because I've got you here and I've pinned you down. This is a recording. Who named that book?
Ooh,
named by committee.
Named by committee, yeah.
Fine.
I might have had.
Give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds. I'll show you. Okay, there we go. There it is. Bigby's Handbook of Creative Spell Uses. That's the name of it. That's it, and that's why it's a mouthful. But there it is. And, of course, as I mentioned, guys, there will be a link for that as well in the description below. That is also an actual fantastic book. And that is, ironically, the exact way that I play a lot of my spellcasters. with a lot of the stuff in that book. So so that's
combos and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you should. That's how you get the best out of your spellcasting.
Exactly. 100%.
Absolutely.
100%. It's the best way to play spellcasters. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Their social medias will be in the chat below. As always, thank you everyone in the audience for watching this video. Don't forget to check out our Patreon channel, or Patreon website, where you will be able to hear the interview with Scott Yules. And till next time, guys, as always, from me to you, game hard or die trying. Bye-bye.